Good morning and afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Oplerno on. Oh, sorry, welcome to Team 24. God, I've got Oplerno on the brain. Well, we're going to be discussing single sign-on, which was turned on Wednesday, and what kind of feedback we got on that. We're hopefully going to get an update on the marketing position. And I saw a note that Oplerno is going to be on Wordpress. I think we're going to have an interesting discussion on that. I'd like to remind you to subscribe to our channel. We'll post any of the links that we mentioned below in the description. And quick note: we're very excited. I think it was Rob, you can correct me. We had or approved decision 14. Which is Dr. Carl Troutman's course, the battle for the U.S. Senate. Basically, he's going to follow, together with the election, follow the election and give his Rob, you'll probably be able to explain it slightly better.
Yeah, well, the Europeans have their own crazy political system, but in the States, right now, the 2014 election is coming, and it means that a third of the Senate and all of the House of Representatives in the U.S. are going to be elected or re-elected. The Senate battle could mean that there's a switch from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party, and there are a bunch of different key races that are going to happen. So Professor Troutman's going to go through and highlight some key races and talk about the political ramifications, but also the elections and the dynamics of what's going on. So it's a really interesting class because not only will you learn about the political system of the United States, but it's also highly relevant to what's happening in November. So I tend to find when you're learning about politics or history that it's really helpful if you actually have a historical event that you're kind of playing off of. And so this is going to be a great class and also a really important election. So you can see it with a group of, you can go through and understand it with a group of people who are engaged in politics and with an expert to help you understand it without the spin that you generally get in mainstream media in the United States between Fox News on one side or maybe Amy Goodman's Democracy Now! On the other. You'll have something that is a little bit, more nuanced, which is great.
Oh, thanks. And of course, no, I think that is over to Rob. So let's start with reverse order. Oplerno on WordPress? I think you added that, sir.
Yeah, I added that. It's not a done deal. It's a suggestion. We've talked about the need for more content creation, and I did almost destroy our website last night, logging on and not wanting to muck with Dan's work. We can talk about whether or not we're going to convert that Oplerno WordPress site blog to something on our own on Squarespace that's attached to it. The only reason why I think WordPress might work out a little bit better is some of the metrics. Although we get great metrics through other stuff, it's just kind of more, I don't know whether it's more geezer friendly since I'm the geezer. But have you guys had a chance to take a look at it? I know you guys we've used WordPress for our early website. What are your sort of thoughts on that, Dan?
Sorry, I just had to unmute. I didn't look at it. I'm gonna say we stick with our own domain and keep our blog on our own site. I think. I just think it's more consistent. It's less URLs for people to bounce between. We can keep more consistent Google Analytics to flow from our current site to the blog section of our site, and instead of having yet another analytic profile that you know.
No, understood. So here's what we'll do is when we get done the meeting, we'll delete that. It only has, it's the bare bones to get it set up, and did not take very long. So what we'll do is we'll blow that up, but we'll migrate as much of the content and look as we can across to, so I guess it'll be oplerno.com/blog, correct?
/blog.
Yeah, it can be whatever we want it to be.
Yeah,
so
oplerno.com, or, well, it can't be woodblock, or oplerno.com/woodblock. What's going to...
No. If we were doing a blog that's unique to it being a blog, more general than, say, woodblock, then it'll just be /blog.
So I think that's the decision. We'll go for oplerno.com/blog, because I was also, over the weekend, we had a slight Mutual Admiration Society /Love Fest with a wonderful entry that Professor Peters put up about I'm a cook and I'm a teacher. I'm a professor, and kind of talking through that. And also, talking about her course that she's offering on restaurant management and business. So, I really want to find a way to put more, have one spot where people can go on and take a look at the blog, take a look at, even the team meeting comments. Daniel assigned me a task this morning about commenting on modules that MIT is doing. There's a few other things that if I have a blog to go to and to start, writing some posts that go through the editing with Dan Kirk, then I think that, that'll get more of the word out. But it also would be great for us to highlight other people's work on the blog and drive traffic. But that's something a little bit for the closed. We can talk a little bit about at the closed meeting, is related to the blog piece. Is I had a couple different conversations over the weekend and late last week with about our marketing, and this highlights actually the agenda item on update on the marketing position. So we'll hop around slightly. We've had a really interesting reaction on AngelList. I've gotten a lot of replies, and I've got about 5 appointments this week with potential people for the marketing position, and so we'll, I'm going to go through and talk with them, and then if we get, 2 candidates, then I'll shoot those 2 or 3 candidates to you guys for, for review, and you can meet them via Skype. It seems like everyone wants, when I talk to, when I run into people, they're looking for us to do marketing like a traditional college, in terms of, hey, check out the students, here are our course offerings. And at a couple different events, or a couple different times when I was talking with younger people meaning, I'm 46, I'm talking about under 30, okay, or under 25. They're looking at Oplerno more as a movement, okay, that based on the sort of the interests that, millennials have to control their own destiny, okay, and to be able to choose and look at courses and look at professors and choose what they want a la carte, rather than going necessarily through an institution. And at least in the States, the whole piece of people are really getting pissed off about the level of student loan debt and what it's doing for their for their future. So I've got a draft of a post that's about the sort of how the student loan debt is limiting choice. And so one of the big things that you want to do is figure out ways for high quality, low cost education, and Oplerno, I think, is potentially one of the solutions for that. But we've got to figure out a way to engage those rebels, okay, engage the revolutionaries, especially younger people, to sort of join us in this quest. I think we've said the last couple of weeks, we've got a great way of a great story for adjunct faculty members, and we get them very excited about the fact that they earn their particular cost. They earn their money. They can control what they're teaching. They've got a certain amount of job security, and but we haven't done that. We haven't said that story or made that case for the students to get them very, very excited. And so that's going to be a big part of the marketing piece. And that was, again, reiterated by Mary Faith Sarasoli. You might have seen the picture on Facebook. I had brunch with her in Burlington. She is the adjunct faculty member who was written about in the New York Times as being homeless. She was working at a bunch of different universities as an adjunct faculty member, not getting paid very much, and had to live out of her car that was parked in a parking garage at one of these schools. And she's doing much better. She's got a different job. She's moved, and what's really sad, which is not great, she's moved out of where she was before, and she's got now a 2-hour commute. So she's not going to be teaching in the fall. Okay, she can't secure even adjunct positions, even though her reviews are great, because she did the calculus that the cost of gas and time made it so that you would actually potentially be losing money by teaching students, and that's got to stop. So she's very excited to be working with us, and she's doing some other things to support herself on the side. But we've got a great series of stories from faculty members, but we've got to figure out a way to connect the students into it. So that's my long-winded speech this morning.
No, you're absolutely right. I've been reading also on other pieces where faculty members are saying that they're basically paying to work as an adjunct at a school. It's completely ridiculous.
Yeah, I just wonder, when are the students going to rebel? When are they going to start demonstrating? When are we going to get a sign that they've said enough is enough? You see it outside the States, in Montreal, in Canada, in parts of Europe. You see big demonstrations against even, modest increases in the fees. Sometimes they're not very modest, like a doubling of the fees or a cutting of state support, and you see student demonstrations. But I don't see it here in the States. And we got to connect with that. We have to let them know that, hey, there's an alternative out there for you all. So yeah. Dan, do you have any comments?
Not in particular. I think I wonder too when the students are going to start siding with their own future and with the faculty members who are just as viable as a tenured professor, but are sort of getting the short end of the stick in our current system. And I don't know. Perhaps the states with folks in debt, and it's kind of more of an accepted reality. Debt is kind of something that is part of our culture, and I feel like managing your debt is supposed to be some skill that everyone's supposed to have, because everyone's supposed to have debt. So I don't know when that mind shift will occur, but we do hear it with some students, and I think it's a matter of, we had an email from one of our faculty members that replied to Daniel's marketing outreach, and he said, I think if we can just get one student, that would really I don't know, start to move the conversation and shift the needle. And I think he's right. I think that once students see that this is here, understand what it can do and where it can fit, and once we start developing a track record of transferability, which I honestly believe, having worked in a university who takes transfer credits, I don't think it'll ever be a problem. I think universities are aware of sort of the realities that they're going to be facing, and to deny students transfer credit that are just viable, quality course knowledge, skills, and has the syllabus and the coursework to back it up. I don't see that being an issue at all with the quality level of our courses. So, I think it's just I don't like when people say we need to raise awareness. I mean, I do, but I don't like to rely on that. However, as a new organization and a new product and a new system, I think that's a huge part of where we're going. So, I guess my point is I too am curious as to when folks are going to start shifting, and we just can keep creating our content that helps the conversation and helps expose the amount of information available. Every piece we create adds to the amount of information about both the current landscape as well as Oplerno itself.
Yeah, we're going to just have to create our own networks of distribution of getting the word out, because last week spending a bunch of time sending out notices to different media outlets, student papers, everything. It's really interesting how that debate, it's just really, really interesting how difficult it is to get mainstream media on board with this, where you guys are completely, blowing up the house with how many visits some of those posts that you guys are putting out there are getting, which is phenomenal. And we're going to just need a little more of that magic. So if you're a young person, okay, you're sort of the traditional college age, under the age of 21, and you attend these team meetings and watch them on YouTube, or you're randomly searching and you come across us, get in contact, please. I've already emailed a few former students of mine who are under the age of 25 to check, to have some meetings with them about what it is they're thinking about and where we should be looking. But yeah, it's tricky. It's going to take a little while. This is a movement, a revolutionary movement that is not going to. We are not going to explode like Facebook. We are building something very different than that. So.
Well, that depends, of course. If we spam Harvard, we might explode.
Yeah, exactly. Or we spam Harvard and we break in and get all their listservs and.
Exactly, like Zuckerberg did. So.
Yeah, and engage in various other unethical and bad behaviors. Okay. So I've kind of talked a little bit about what I've been doing. Little update on last week. We're now starting to re-engage. Now that people are back in college, administrators are back from their summer vacations. We're in conversations with a few institutions that will go unnamed about articulation agreements, and I have meetings set up with them about that. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the closed session. And the only other thing is, we'll talk about that another piece in the closed session too. So that's what I've been up to. And again, looks like September 1st is still the date when we'll throw in that notice of intent to become a degree granting institution. And we'll have more on that next week.
Cool. Well, as you know, my intent was to work primarily on the portfolio this week. Well, that was didn't go as well as I thought. I was sick as a dog for lots of the week. so I didn't get as much work done as I wanted to get done. And of course, I had have the other things that we always do.
Oops, sorry. I should mute before I sneeze.
No worries. What I did do is I had a very interesting Oplerno on a Wednesday. What was it? It was on course promotion. I got a lot of feedback from that. Of course, we went live with the single sign-on on Wednesday. We got a bit of feedback on that as well. Mostly positive. One or two negative pieces of negative feedback. Something that we actually I thought it was an epiphany for me. Somebody said, or somebody asked me why they would need to have an account on the marketplace, and which was I thought was somehow for some people apparently, and I think that could be a serious issue. Of course, if one person asks it, there could be many others who.
Yeah, if one person asks the question, there's 100 people who have it who just haven't asked it. Yeah.
So to answer the question for people who are watching now, why you need an account on the marketplace, is because that's the place where people can sign up and pay for your course. So that's the place where you're promoting your, the primary place where you're promoting your course, and where you drive all your traffic to, where you're tweeting or posting or writing blog articles and things like that. So very important. And yeah, I've been doing a lot of catching up this weekend, making sure that we get that all our everything that I wasn't unable to do this week was actually finished. So I'm quite happy about that. Yeah, although the profile is got a little bit delayed. For this week, I'm going to work on that profile again. I've got a couple of talks with people. We have an Oplerno on Wednesday, which discusses creating a great course profile, because based on the question, I thought that would be an ideal subject to broach on what you need to do to make your course profile as attractive as possible, and you're including your image, everything. So that's for this week, and of course my regular assignments that I do all week long. Dan?
So I'm still working on getting everybody loaded up. We you know, the traditional school year is starting. So last week I worked way more than I usually do elsewhere, but still getting everyone loaded into the faculty, client management, customer relation system, as well as helping with the marketing. We've been helping write some marketing pieces to kind of make templates for faculty members to reach out directly to their networks and use the content template that we've created to sort of get the message out on a more individual basis. You know, thinking of folks whom you already know as a faculty member, who you can email and say, hey, I'm teaching this course. Are you interested? Do you know anyone who's interested? Here's all the information. Here's a link. Here's, you know, what Oplerno is all about. And without it being too long-winded, it informs the recipient of what's going on. So that's kind of where I'm at from last week. And I'd like to write another original content piece. I haven't kind of had the inspiration yet on what it'll be, but when it comes, I'll spend those 10 to 15 minutes, which maybe I'll take a little side note here. I've noticed, Daniel, you've been posting about, you know, taking time to do short versions of tasks that might otherwise seem overwhelming, like, say, writing a blog post.
Yeah.
But if you shut everything else down and devote 10, 15, 20 minutes max to doing it, and you try to kind of get it all down, let it sit for a day or two and revisit it, you know, I've found that I've been able to create content. I've been able to get all my thoughts down on paper, and it doesn't take as long if you devote, you know, a solid amount of time to it quickly. So faculty members, if you're out there watching and listening, that's something to take home from this. You know, we all might click over to Facebook or Twitter or Tumblr and kind of poke around sometimes, and that's good to, you know, it's fine to get distracted and relax your brain a little bit, but some of those times maybe take those 20 minutes, and instead of clicking over to those kind of fun sites, maybe jot down some reasons why folks might want to take your class, and Daniel can help get that on BuzzFeed, which he's just shown. One of his articles has almost 4,000 views for the Pat Peters' class. So that's just a little sidebar, and something I hope to do this week as well.
Yeah, great stuff. And I agree with you about the about taking the time and taking to write your blog post and just taking enough time. But of course, if you're like me and you're cranking them out at least one a week, then it's to have a nice pool of say of brainstorms that you can or what do you call them mind maps that you can select one or two from and then just write a little piece on it. Of course, I spread my creation of content over weeks. So I start off with just brainstorming a mind map and putting some information there, and I might not even have written an outline in week 2, but I've already got a number of mind maps that I can go back to and see, and maybe massage slightly into an article so they can actually use it. So to have a huge basis that I can select from, of course, and jump in on whatever is the current subject, such as this MIT post on the Chronicle, which is actually 2 weeks old already. I thought I might have spotted it, but it's sort of that goes very well together with the College Anywhere post that I wrote, I think a month ago or 2 months ago already, on examining what MOOCs are doing right and what MOOCs are doing wrong. So it's things like this of being able to take your time to do it, but also being able to have small piecemeal creation of content is, for me, at least for me, that works advantageously, and I don't see it as a big task to. Sometimes you'll see it as a big task that you have to create, you have to complete. But this is something that you could do, at least for the initial tasks, in 5 or 10 minutes maximum amount of time, and then you give it to Dan, and Dan will rework it for you.
If you're a faculty member and you're also a little stuck about writing something, you can also start off by just what you think, okay, sort of what you're passionate about, what your concern is, and do it for I think X, okay, and this isn't a peer-reviewed journal article. Make sure that you understand that you're talking about something that is important to you, and when you free yourself and allow your voice to get heard rather than sort of mediating it through all these different ideological lenses, it'll probably go a whole lot easier. I know I am guilty of the same thing. I'll sometimes trip over myself in terms of writing and get blocked because I'm not understanding that this doesn't have to be perfect. What this has to be is a good piece of communication. And we're all capable of that. Okay, do we have anything? I think that's it for the open session.
Yep, I think that's it.
So long, everyone. Enjoy your week, and remember to go to subscribe on the red button that you see on your screen, and we'll see you online.
Great. We'll see you online. Thank you very much for watching.